What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new series on my channel called This Week's Dumbasses. Pretty much I'm just going to go through all the teams that had a bad game this week, and I'm gonna go through why they are dumbasses. So without further ado, first team, Vikings. More than that, Adrian Peterson. You're going to tell me that this motherfucker couldn't get the team close enough for a field goal in the first, second, or third quarter? They lost 20-3 to the 49ers, and they scored that 3 points in the fourth quarter. Why the fuck would you even take a field goal in the fourth quarter if you're down by 20? That doesn't even make any sense. Down by 20, you're going to take a field goal? No, you're going to go for it because you know you're not going to win by going for a fucking field goal. That's stupid. And again, Adrian Peterson, you're going to tell me you couldn't get your team close enough for a field goal in the first quarter, in the second quarter, or the third quarter? That is why you are on this episode of This Week's Dumbasses. Next up, the Bucks. 14-42. Titans just screamed away with that. They didn't even come to play. They just fucking showed up. The fuck? They just... unbelievable. 42-14, and they only scored in the second quarter and the fourth quarter. Now I know you can only do what you can do, but you guys are professional football players. You guys are not supposed to be going down 20-0 in the first quarter and then 35-0 in the second quarter. That doesn't make any sense. Like, you guys got to step up your game. Welcome to This Week's Dumbasses. Next up, the Eagles. I don't even need to say why they're on this week's episode. I don't even need to say it. They just welcome. You guys have been privileged enough to be on the first episode of This Week's Dumbasses by being dumbasses. Thank you. Next, the Broncos. Now, not really the Broncos themselves, more Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning should have retired last year. I know, judging by the scoring stats right here, that he does not have what it takes anymore. Whether he had a bad game, it doesn't matter. This is the first week of the NFL. This is where you got to show everybody this is what you're working with for the rest of the year. You don't come in first quarter, second quarter, you're scoring 3 field goals. Third quarter, you finally get a touchdown, but that's the only fucking touchdown you get. You're going to tell me Peyton Manning cannot get a fucking touchdown? He's Peyton Manning. No, he's just old. He's really old. Not really old. He's too old to be playing football. Too old to be getting refrigerators thrown on top of him. By that, I mean the Vince Wilforks of the game, the J.J. Watts of the game. It's just, when you get to a certain age, I'm sure he knows what he's doing, don't get me wrong. He's probably in his mind, he's like, yeah, I can do it. But I think he's slowly starting to realize he can't, and he shouldn't have. That's why he's on this week's episode. Next, we have the Seahawks. The Seahawks. Oh my god, this ads were pulling Gerard Mayo. Look at that. Elite Gerard Mayo. I was so excited when I pulled that out. Oh, I was so happy. But the Seahawks are on this week's episode because they lost to the Rams in overtime. The Rams now, everybody. Now, not that there's anything wrong with losing to the Rams. They're a professional football team in their own right, and they're good in their own right. But when you repeat Super Bowl visits and actually win one of them, and you're losing to a team who can't even make the playoffs anymore. That's in overtime. And they only scored 3 points in overtime, which means the Seahawks were given an opportunity, whether it was before or after the Rams scored. Doesn't matter. They were given an opportunity and given the ball in the overtime to see if they could come back and win it, and they didn't. And that's why they're on this week's episode. Now, the next team I want to talk about is the Chiefs. Now, this is not as big a deal as the rest of them, but it is big enough to be put on this week's episode. Now, what I'm talking about is the fact that they failed to put up any points in the third and fourth quarter with the team that they have. The Texans don't have any. What do they got? J.J. Watt? He ain't defending passes out in the fucking field. No way. He's trying to get to that quarterback. But he ain't getting to that quarterback the whole third and fourth quarter. So what's your excuse, Mr. Jamal Charles? Mr. whoever the hell you guys have for receivers, or Travis Kelce for tight end. I mean, you guys need to understand the players that you have, you need to use them for what they can do. Either that, you motherfuckers just need to play Madden and see what they can do. It's the same shit. It might as well be. Anyway, next one, Colts, same reason. First and second quarter, no points, which is why they lost 27-14. All these are very plausible reasons and very factual reasons as to why they were on this week's episode of This Week's Dumbasses. I honestly hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a bunch of fun to make. And I like doing it. I'm probably just going to keep doing it just because it's that much fun. But thank you guys so much for watching. I am Wrath, and I am out for today, everybody. Peace.